Okay, this tutorial is going to teach you how to georeference an image. So the first thing that we want to do for this tutorial is we want to add the data. So you should have your folder already set up so it automatically goes to where your data is sitting. So I'm just going to add this file called bound around map. All that is the study area basically. This is where the image that we're actually going to georectify. This is sort of the bounding area of that of the image. The next data set that we're going to add is the actual image. And it's called 7th Ward Philly Crop 1. You can just hit yes here. And you'll notice that nothing happens. It doesn't show up anywhere. It does end up, ArcPro will put all the files that don't have a reference, any raster image, it ends up somewhere in the software. But an easy way to get it close to the area that you're going to try to georeference is to hit imagery, georeference, and then what we call fit to display. And then it brings it close by. So obviously you can see this is about the length of the study area, this polygon here, but obviously it's too big, right? So we can orient this a little bit just to make our lives a little bit easier as we do our georeferencing. We can scale it, and then we can just move it, and then we can rotate it so that it's, just looks closer to what it is that, so we can find the locations a little bit easier. So what we're going to be doing is trying to find a location on the scan map, the map that doesn't know its way, basically, doesn't know where it's situated, right? So when you bring it into a GIS, it goes into La La Land, 0, 0 space somewhere, but we want it to always overlay to this study area. So what we need to do is find locations on both maps, and these are called our control points. So we're going to be, for example, using 23rd and Spruce on one map. You can use your up and down arrow keys to navigate around. And then we're going to use 23rd and Spruce on the other map. So when we're setting up our control points, you basically need to set your control point on the raster map first, right? The map that you're trying to georeference, and then you would click on the other map, the real world map second. Okay, so let's just get started. There's a couple things that we should look at quickly. They're in the software. Yours is probably going to have this auto adjust. Some people love auto adjust. Some people don't. It means as you start georeferencing, it starts moving the map closer and closer to where it belongs. I think the first time you georeference to get the point and to understand, it's probably best to turn this auto adjust off. So go ahead and click. So yours might look like that. You want to go ahead and click it off just for now. So when we're getting ready to, you want to kind of orient yourself and think about some of the locations that you're going to select. This map is basically a grid, right, system, so it's very easy to find these locations. Sometimes when you're georeferencing, you might use an old church or a bridge or something like that. In this case, we're just going to use street intersections. So the first one that I'm going to use is 23rd and Spruce. So we need to find that on both maps, basically. So there's 23rd and there's Spruce. So what we're going to do is basically click in the georeference, we're going to hit Add Control Points. And when it's doing that, it's actually creating a table of points. So I've turned that table on, and they're going to show up here as we go. Okay, so the first one, 23rd and Spruce. I always like to double check. This is 23rd, so we're going to click on this map here, right on the corner. Okay, you'll see it once it does. So I clicked it the first time, it didn't work. You're going to get this like stringy looking thing. It's like basically connecting the common locations, basically, you could say. So now we need to find 23rd and Spruce on the other map. And right about here, 23rd and Spruce on the other map. So there's our first control point. This reference number, X and Y, represents the scanned image. And this coordinate system, X and Y map, this is the actual map of the real world. I'll talk about residuals during class. Let's go ahead and find a second location. Let's go with that same street, which is 23rd and South. So 23rd and South, we can click here. And then again, we get this little stringy thing, and then we need to find 23 and South on the other map. And here it is. We can zoom in a little bit. Basically click that. There's our second control point. Okay. Next one, let's go with Broad and South. So if we double check, this is Broad, this is South Street. I am going to go ahead and click in the corner here. Again, stringy. We need to find on the other map, Broad and South. I always like to double check the road. I'm pretty certain that that's it, but I like sometimes to double check. We're going to click on South. That's our third point. And then we're going to go ahead and do Spruce and Broad, right, which is the top of the map here. Again, I like to double check. There's Spruce and Broad. So we're going to click here in the corner of the street, and then we're going to go to our other map. And we're going to make sure that we've got Spruce and Broad. To the top, there's Broad Street, and there's Spruce, and we are going to just click in the corner here. So if we zoom out now, we've got 4 control points. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And you could just eye it up. They're what we said, 23rd. These are on the same street. Let's go ahead and do something in the middle somewhere of the map. So let's think about Lombard. We can do try Lombard and 19th. So paper map first or scan map first. We're going to do Lombard. Okay, that's Lombard. That's 20th. Here's 19th. So we're going to click here. And we're going to go up to our other map. Lombard and 19th. Wait for that to refresh, and then there is another control point. So now we have 5 control points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I will do one more. Let's do, normally if you had a lot of time, you'd probably want to do anywhere from 12 to 15 or so. Let's try 16th and Pine. Let's see if that's a possibility. There's Pine Street, there's 16th Street, so we're going to click here and then go up to 16th and Pine on our other map. There's Pine. This should be 16th. That's 17th. I usually like to still get a street number, street name. Yeah, that's 16th and Pine right here. So we'll just go ahead, wait for it to refresh, and then we'll put our 6th point down. So there you have it. You have 6 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then what you can do now is you're going to hit this apply button, and it's going to kind of move the image over top. And then we'll take a look at it. I'm going to hit apply, and there you go. And what we can do is, it's hard to see unless we make this transparent. So you can hit imagery, appearance. So it's under raster, appearance, and then transparency. And then there's a little slider here. So maybe like, I don't know, 40% or so, maybe 50%. And then you can kind of scan around the map and just see if we did an okay job. I mean, I think we're going to need more points. Let's see. Street names change a little bit. So like Lombard, for the most part, is running along Lombard. You know, the main roads are running along. In order to really get a good fit where the blocks are stretched enough to make their way, you know, so like, for example, if you want these block faces to be more exact, you'd have to add more points, and it's going to basically pull and stretch the map a little bit till it matches. But we're going to leave this for now. The next thing that we would need to do is, so again, here's your control table. And the other nice thing is what you can do sometimes is you can turn some of them off to see if the fit gets better. And you can like hit reapply to re-georectify the image. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to export the file out. So you can do save and then save as a new raster. These are a lot more settings than the old version, so I'm still having a little bit of some issues with which is the best to use. So I'll call this Georect version 1. We're going to save it as a TIFF image. We can leave this all alone here. Compression. I don't think this is the largest of image, so I think we can just try to kind of use the defaults here. Make sure you've saved it to your folder, and let's take a look at what we get. So again, I saved it to my folder. I left the 8-bit unassigned. I changed this to TIFF, however, and I didn't compress the data. So as you can see, it gets a little bit more pixelated, and this is where I would have to double check, triple check some of the settings. So for example, this is the one that we just georectified. And if I toggle, the original seems to be a little less pixelated, although it is transparent. And then here's the newer one that we just did. So now this image would basically, you know, if you shared this with someone or opened it in a different GIS software, it would in fact have the reference information with it. So what makes the reference information work is that if you look in your folder and you look at the file that I just saved, this test GRF, there's this TFW file. And this is what they call a reference file, basically. It's what they used to call a world file. Or at least that's what I learned what it was called. So what we're going to do here is we can open this. Yeah, I'll open it with Notepad. So once this opens, it's a file that needs to stay with. So this is all it is. It's basically providing the reference information. It'll show like information about where the pixel sits, and then what the coordinate is of the, like, usually it uses like the upper left corner of the image and basically provides, you know, how to situate it in the real GIS world, like amongst the geographic files. If you were to delete this, then your file would no longer be georeferenced. The other thing, just to point out really quick, this is an ArcPro thing, but if you ever went back to try to georectify again and you wanted to start from scratch, you would have to delete these files. If not, it's going to have the information about the control points that you created. So you would have to delete these and then just start with your original file. Thanks.